Hey Japan Craft Beer Travelers, I'm Andrew from Taiheiyogan. We're here at the American Craft Beer Experience 2018, being joined by
Richard Miller from Hardywood Park Craft Brewery in Richmond, Virginia.
Well, I've already got some nice great beers in front of us. And can you tell us a little bit about Hardywood? How did it get started?
So we were founded in 2011, so we're 7 years old, and founded by two guys who had a passion for beer and had been lifelong friends and homebrewed from the time they were able to homebrew. And they basically had their epiphany down in Australia, where Eric McKay was doing an internship down in Australia on a sheep farm. And the farmer there was a home brewer, and he introduced them to fantastic beer. And from then on, they aspired to open a brewery. And so after they finished school, they both worked in distribution in New York City, selling a lot of great craft beers. And then Patrick Murtaugh, the other co-founder, went back to get his master brewing license. He's a third-generation brewer. So we've been fortunate to have two guys who've steered the company and had a passion for it, number one, but also knowing how to make great beer and I think also how to sell it, package it and sell it.
Well, this is the Pils, which I had a little sip earlier. I have to say it's really nice and clean. It hits the spot.
Great, sounds good. So that is a classic German Pilsner. It's a difficult beer to make. You have to be quite patient with it. But the heritage that Patrick and the Murtaugh family bring to brewing, I think, shows through really well in the Pils.
I think there's some nice spice notes to it that are really hitting the right spots.
Good, good. And it's become our number one flagship seller in Virginia and Washington, D.C. in particular.
What are you drinking?
So I've got Single, which was our first beer. Single spelled Singel. So this was a tribute to the monks in Belgium. It's a Belgian blonde ale. Recently won a silver medal at the Great American Beer Festival.
Congratulations.
Which we're very proud of. And we wanted to brew something that was similar to what the monks keep behind for themselves. So they will make triples and doubles and 8, 9, 10% beers, but then they'll typically make something that they then consume themselves. So this is a more approachable 6% Belgian blonde. It's got the Belgian yeast on the nose. It's classic style, and really proud to have won the medal. Sort of 7 years since we started. This was our first beer, and it's nice to see a flagship beer like that. Belgian styles are not particularly in favor right now, but of course they've generally stood the test of time over 100, 150 years or so. So we're really happy to have a great Belgian blonde in our portfolio.
Can't wait to try that soon. Tried a few of your other beers too, and they're all really great.
Great.
How did you get pulled into the company?
So I knew one of the co-founders. Well, I had other careers in my life, and by far this is the best job I've ever had. I must say that. But no, I wasn't working full time in the business. I was an initial investor in the company and was quite passive. I was actually spending time in Asia in my previous jobs, in Singapore and up in Tokyo and also in Hong Kong, and so started to get some beers out here and test the market and see if people liked our beers out here. So we've been doing some select exporting for the last couple of years and selling to Korea, and just started selling in Japan, also in the UK and France. And then about 18 months ago, when we were in the process of building a much bigger brewery and are looking to add to our distribution footprint in the US, the guys asked me to come on full-time on sales and marketing. So I've been full-time for about 1.5 years now, and having a great time.
Coming here. What do you think of the Japanese market?
So I think there's huge potential here still. I think it's still a fairly new market. I think you've got in Japan a customer who has a high appreciation for high-quality products, whatever that may be, certainly for alcohol. And I think beer is no exception there. I think like any market around the world, there's a level of education that has to go on in terms of talking about craft beer styles, to try and get beers that resonate well with the palates
Mm-hmm.
of the local consumer is important. And all of that takes time.
Yeah.
And events like this are fantastic because it's a great way to just get exposure for the beers and to see what people think about them. But I think there's huge potential, long-term potential here for craft beer.
And a lot of the people bringing the beers in know how to bring it in properly too.
That's true. I mean, the beers you're having today, we actually air-shipped in for this event. So
Just for the
they're
event.
about 2 years, 2 weeks old at this point. They just got packaged.
That's nice and fresh.
But we also are really, I think it's very important to partner with people who are passionate about maintaining, refrigerated containers when they bring beers over.
Yeah.
It's coming a long way. And then when the product hits the ground here, to have as much of that beer pre-sold so that it actually gets to the consumer fast and is consumed pretty quickly. So all of these beers do have shelf lives, and we don't use any preservatives. We do not filter, so it needs to be consumed within a fairly fast period.
Well, definitely the
Can't
festival.
consume it now.
I'm going to consume all of this really fast right now. So,
Excellent. Well, it's great. Thank you for
a few minutes of your time.
All right,
Yes.
pleasure.
Make sure you guys drink some Hardywood beers.
Where do you find it in Tokyo?
So
Fantastic.
I think we're just starting to launch now. I would say initially at any reputable craft beer bar, mostly on premise at this point, particularly in a place like Titans, which is I think a preeminent craft beer bar in town at this point. So please go over to Titans first, and then hopefully we'll see it in other places soon.
Well, you'll see us at Titans every week.
All right,
Drinking some
great.
Hardywood.
Cheers.
Come by.